Namaste. Hello, beautiful souls. I know I'm popping on just a few seconds early. I hope Jonathan has wound up. So isn't this just the most fabulous event? I am so privileged and so happy to be a part of Tarothon 2021. This is my first time presenting at Tarothon, and I have enjoyed this event immensely over the past 4 years. And I want to say thank you to Simon. Thank you to Simon and everyone who was a part of that initial catch up in cards, and the Hermit's Cave Facebook group, who, was the inspiration for putting this event together, because it's such a wonderful opportunity for us to connect with many, many channels. Yeah, and Jen. So Jen's Balanced Tarot has done such an amazing job in pulling everybody together, and behind the scenes, the chats in the Facebook group, and people have dropped out and come in and editing this and that. And so thank you, Jen. You've just done such a beautiful job. So you've really, you've impressed us all. I want to thank Jonathan, who was on the last hour, and he shared an ancestral spread. And it was very, very powerful. And if you missed Jonathan's segment, I really encourage you to go back and have a look at that. If you're interested in working with past lives or ancestral healing and connections, it was really good, Jonathan. So loved those questions. I'm going to go back and look at the cards that I pulled, because as always, those spreads really blow me away. So before I get into my topic, I want to say welcome to everybody. I'm going to go to the chat and say hi and greet those of you that are here. And so my name is Sadhana. Sadhana is my spiritual name. It was given to me by my teacher in India, my guru in India, when I had my mantra initiation. I was initiated through the Satyananda lineage. And later on in life, I decided I was going to embrace that name, included it in my business name. And I use it a lot. Pretty much is the name that I use for most of my life these days. And it's quite an onerous name. It's quite a heavily weighted name. And I try to kind of live up to my name. And I really do try my best to walk my talk. Sadhana is one's paths or one's practice. It's what one does to stay connected. And it could be anything, right? This could be your morning walk in the forest. It could be a very dedicated, for a period of time, physical asana practice or something like that. But one sadhana is very, very different. And so this is the name that was gifted to me by Swami Satyananda. Sorry, not Swami Satyananda, Swami Satsangi. Anyway, so I am a yogi. I teach yoga. I teach asana, meditation, and all that kind of stuff. And I love to work with that. And I recently put together a course on heightening your intuition with a lot of yogic practices. So this is one thing I love to do. I'm an intuitive reader, an intuitive healer, Reiki master, teacher, trainer, yoga teacher, trainer. And I really like to weave all these arts together. It's my passion. And more recently, I have been teaching a lot of tarot classes. And I just feel that there is so much to learn from tarot. If we can use the tarot as a mirror to everything that's going on, if we can trust and find connection and learn to really tap into our these intuitive messages. And for me, trust has just been a huge one. And the more you practice, the more you can start to really, really use this gift, this medium of tarot, as something that just makes life so much easier, right? Why not? Yeah, so thank you. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I am going to talk about significator cards tonight. Now, this is a very, very old school kind of topic. And I have to say, so if you follow me on my channel, Tuesdays I do live readings. And for a long time, I was just kind of going with the flow and doing, I just read with the flow. More recently, I've been starting to work with spreads that have particular meanings. And there were a few different influences that happened, I was going to say within the last 2 years, that really made me want to help people find focus to their readings. I think sometimes it's really hard for queerants or even for ourselves to narrow in the question, you know, and part of having a good tarot reading is to find a good question, right? The tarot loves to tell stories. And if we can hone in on the question, get really more specific about it, then I think we can read more into the cards themselves. And so because sometimes it's hard to find a question, then I think it's, if it's hard to find a question, what we can do is to choose a significator card or cards to help us narrow in on the topic, narrow in on what it is we want to understand. And so what I'm going to do over this next hour is show you lots of ways to bring focus to your readings. Does that sound okay? Through cards and different ways of picking out and choosing cards. And I'm going to try to give you as many different options as possible. I'm going to show cards. I'm going to turn over open the other camera. And yeah. All right. So what is a significator card? And why? So why is for focus? Because we get scattered, you know, we tend to go darting all over the place with our minds. And with a significator card, it gives us an opportunity to be more focused. Let's go with this one here. Okay. So I want to give you a couple of examples. Now, the first thing is that we have two options. One is that we can randomly draw a significator card. This is a possibility, and we're going to do this in a little bit. The other, it's great if you have some cards on your table today, okay? And the other one is to be very, very intentional about a significator card. And I'm going to give you lots of examples in that regard. If you do have a question for me, please write your question in caps. I am looking at multiple things on my screen, and I'm not looking at the YouTube chat, so I can't see if you've tagged me in orange, okay? So please write it in caps. So here's a couple of examples. And I'll try to remember to name the tarot deck. So this is the Queen of Swords in the Field Tarot. The keyword is independence. And this particular card, when I look at it, inspires a freedom. It inspires a freedom. It's like, it makes me want to be very independent and strong, and also taps into feminine energy. And so perhaps I can't figure out what it is that's missing. You know, all I know is that I want to be her. I want to be her. And so I place her on the table and I allow her to be my muse. You know, I allow her to be my muse, and then I'm going to shuffle a deck and place some cards around her to perhaps ask, how can she be my muse? How can I embrace this energy? Here's another example. So perhaps this is the Ace of Cups from the Sasrabido Tarot. So maybe what I'm looking for is connection. And when I look at this card, it reminds me a little bit of my mother who loved to sit down and have a cup of coffee, my mother who was always about just exactly that, about connection. And so maybe what I'm lacking right now in my life is connection. And so I put down this Ace of Cups on the table as a focus. It's like, all right, so how can I bring this energy of connection and sharing into a reading. I see Lisa has a really good question, and yes, this is something that I will definitely address, and I'll come back. I'll address it quickly now, and then I'll come back to it. So Lisa asks, can we use one deck for the significator card and a second deck for the reading? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Specifically here, because what I'm doing is going through cards that I am familiar with, and I'm picking out favorite cards that I want to bring in the energy to the reading. Now, when I was looking at the Sasaribito, I saw this Fool card come up, and I was remembering a querent across the table who was older than me, and was feeling very kind of stodgy, and they just really they didn't know how to bust free, to get out of their shell. And so placing this amazing Fool card as the center, the focus, that youthfulness, that vitality at any age, is a great way to show the querent, or maybe yourself, right, that this is possible. And so what is it that we need to find, to recognize, to see, to get there? This is the Justice card from the Lily White Tarot. And I'm just giving you a few examples here, and then I've got lots of other things to come up. But, every time I look at this card, I see more and more. I love the fact that all the elements are up here. And this card, actually, when I looked at it tonight, it's kind of inspiring me to put 4 cards around and ask how this justice or this karmic pattern can more easily come into balance. And so this, just looking at these symbols here, the alchemical symbols for the elements, is making me think, okay, I'm going to put 4 cards down around this justice card to see what are the elemental perspectives that are going to help me answer this question. And then, I've always seen this scale here as her tears, and a kind of an invitation to let go and to feel and to lean into this pattern. But what I saw tonight for the first time was this red cheek, this very, very red cheek. And it was something about the emotions of justice. I feel like sometimes justice is a really cool card. There's not a lot of emotion sometimes. And this is what was coming through to me. So maybe my question in making this a significator is something about the balance of that, the balance of the emotional and the intellectual, the practical, the right and the left brain kind of stuff. Okay, so yeah. And then the last one I just kind of grabbed as an example was, and this might kind of tap into what Jonathan was talking about, this King of Swords from the Marielle Tarot. I might use this with a querent who was struggling with their ancestral lineage. And this is a deck that I love, love, love to use for ancestral work. And I've had lots of querents over the years who struggle with the lineage that they come from. Either there's difficult expectations, or there's a disassociation or something like that. And if you have a deck that has cultural images that are going to stir something up, that can really help to make a significator reveal more than you're going to get just by doing a spread, or just by doing an intuitive reading. Okay, so this practice of intentionally choosing a significator can really, really amp up your reading. And if you have a whole bunch of decks, or you have a few decks, you can use any card from any deck. And it doesn't have to be a card. Sometimes I also work with crystals. This is a lovely piece of, where's my camera? This is a lovely piece of chrysocolla. It's got, I believe this one has a little bit of malachite in it. And I bought this crystal for one of my daughters who was having trouble with her moon cycle. And I often bring a crystal onto the table when, again, I'm looking for focus. So the significator could also be an object, because if I was working with, you know, moon cycles and getting menstrual cycle into awareness or balance or healing, something to do with the second chakra or something like that, sometimes placing a crystal and educating the querent a little bit about that on the table might also be really, really helpful. I'm going to go back to Lisa's question before it disappears from the chat. I always heard that significator card has to be a court card, and I love the use of major arcana as significator. Yes. Okay, so let's go through that, all right? Let's go through some of the rules, some of the traditional associations for significator cards, okay? So what we can do is choose the significator card based on our sun sign. And this is actually something that's very easy to memorize. 12 sun signs, 12 major arcana cards associated with a particular sun sign, right? So my sun sign is Leo, and so my significator card is strength. And in most decks, I actually like that card. And so I could put that card down to focus on my energy. And so it's just a matter of, you can choose your major arcana association. Now, why don't I skip right to the whole court card thing? Because this is kind of a, this is where it gets a little bit, I don't know what the word is. There's a lot of different interpretations in choosing court cards for your reading. Okay, so I've got a mitt full of cards here, and I'm gonna go back here. Okay, love this piece of chrysocolla. So I should have on the table. I do not. Okay, so I'm a Leo. I'm a Leo who's born on August the 12th. And when we are looking at the court cards for, as a significator card, there's a few different systems. Now, the Golden Dawn system divides the sun sign and uses the court cards according to the 3 decans. And depending on where you are, and you're the beginning, the middle, or the end of your sun sign, the court card is going to be different. And sometimes it doesn't resonate. Okay, it doesn't resonate at all. Where is my Lightseer's Tarot? I had that on the table. Okay, just give me 2 seconds. So according to the Golden Dawn, my significator is the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of freaking Pentacles. And this is not a, here it is right here. This is not a court card that I particularly resonate with. I am more apt to probably choose, this is one of my favorite Queen of Wands cards. Now, the Queen of Wands represents the beginning of Leo, so like July Leo. And the next one would be the King of Wands. And I definitely connect with the King of Wands as well too, but more so with the Queen of Wands. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is that if you don't feel the vibe of the court card that is associated with the decan of your birth, you don't have to use it. Why do you have to use it, right? The court card is there to help you bring clarity and focus. And this particular Queen of Wands, inside her body, I see a medicine woman, I see a feather, I see an eagle, I see the fluidity of her body, I see the passion of the energy of the wands. And this inspires me, right? It inspires me. It helps me to find connection. So it's important for me anyway to connect with the court card. Yeah, and I pulled out the Knight of Pentacles, but it's disappeared. It was here anyway. So I've never used that as my significator card. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the other system, which is to randomly choose a card. Let's go to Swan's question first. Do you ever choose a specific oracle card for a significator card in a reading? Yes, yes, and yes. Okay. So this can be really a good way for me to start a reading when I'm working with a client. This is the Whispers of Ganesha Oracle. And I love to use this deck when I'm working with root chakra issues, or perhaps more spiritual questions, questions that feel a little more connected. And when I pulled this deck out tonight, I was thinking, okay, well, this is such a gorgeous card. The key word here is acceptance. Wouldn't this be the perfect significator card to help a client through their healing of acceptance of their physical body? And this, again, this is choosing a significator card. Here is another card, like maybe the question is, how can I give myself permission to feel joy in my life? And I use this beautiful card in the center of the table. So often there's a reason for choosing a deck, but then a card is going to inspire. So this one is called Time to Restore. It's got a real Four of Swords kind of energy. And right now, so one of the reasons I've been a little quiet in Tarothon is I have a new plantar fasciitis thing that's emerged. I've been doing a lot of walking lately, and apparently I need to get some new shoes. So when I saw this card today, I thought, okay, yes, this is really important for me personally. And I thought, okay, well, I'm actually gonna, after all is done tonight, tomorrow, I'm gonna pull out a Scott. I'll get to your question in just a second. I see it there. I'm going to do a reading around this for myself. This, by the way, is the Foxfire, the Kitsune Oracle. This is a lovely deck. It works so well with several different tarot decks, and maybe we can do a little reading with this one tonight. So yes, so this is about choosing a specific oracle. Now, what I'm doing right now in the Facebook group is randomly choosing, this is Kim Kranz's archetype deck, randomly choosing an archetype each week and then doing a spread around the archetype. And so the question is, what is the archetype that I would benefit from focusing on this week? Choose the archetype and then do a spread around the archetype, okay? And this deck it's a really, I'm sure you have other decks like this as well too, but this one has been really, really good for that. And Kim has lots of good information. This is such an important archetype. I could just talk about this particular archetype forever. Anyway, I can't do that tonight, but so this one, I might do that with another deck Anna Torian's deck. So Anna's deck might be really, really good. The Oracle of Echoes. I have another one on my table here. This is one I use all the time as for significators. Sorry. And this is the Alchemist Tarot. This is the one illustrated by Tegan Sweeney, and Lorna Letta is the author. But I find this is a really nice one to use as a random significator. Okay, so why don't we do that right now? And if you have an oracle deck on your table, and it could be a tarot deck, you could use 2 tarot decks, you could use an oracle deck and a tarot deck. And what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle and we're going to draw an oracle card. And the intention here is, if you want to specifically choose it, you choose it. You choose the one that you want focus on. Good night, Ginger Faye. It's 12:30 a.m. where Ginger Faye is. 12:30 a.m. where Gerald is too. Okay, so either intentionally choose an oracle card or shuffle your oracle deck. Okay, and that's what I'm doing right now. And so this is for all of you in the chat here. And my intention is to, what is the focus? What is the most important focus that we could all benefit from at this time? Okay, so I'm going to cut the deck. All right, so the significator card is birth. And so at this point, what I want to do is to focus on, what is it we need to grow? And maybe we have gotten really, really busy, or things have gotten a little bit stagnant, and we have, we've gotten set in our ways or something like that. You're going to know exactly what this is about for you. And for me, oh my gosh, I'm always learning new things, but this is, so sometimes if you're going to randomly draw a significator card, it's hard to know what it is about. And so that's why then we're going to pick up a tarot deck. We're going to pick up a tarot deck and we're going to draw 2 cards and put them on either side. And as you're shuffling the tarot deck, you can simply ask yourself, okay, so why is it important for me to bring this new growth, this aspect of birth, and never, ever, never forget about the mundane? Maybe this is just about me neglecting my garden because I've been so busy doing other things. It doesn't have to be deep, deep, deep. It can be really, really in your face, okay? And so what I'm going to do right now is just draw these 2 cards on either side. And hopefully you're doing the same. Okay. Wow. Okay, so the cards, this is Kim Cranswald Unknown. So I've got 7 of Pentacles. Something new is going to grow from this plantar. I got to get my words mixed up. From this plantar fasciitis. Something is going to come of this. There's some reason that I have been asked to slow down. Some reason I've been asked to slow down. Okay. And the other one on the other side is the 4 of Cups. Really interesting card, because this is one of the cards that I talked about this week, or I guess last week. Sunday is the first day of the week. Last week. So Tuesdays, I do card comparisons live on my channel. And one of the things about this 4 of Cups card that do you see in some way how these are opposing energies? So when I see that 4 of Cups, I'm really feeling the stagnant energy. I'm feeling the confined energy of those 4 cups. The water is slowing down. So the emotions, maybe the emotions are becoming stagnant. Maybe the emotions need to get stirred up, but the pentacles need to slow down. So this is a really challenging question for me, you know, like what needs to grow from the experience of slowing down? And I'm just going to start to mull around this and I have to pay attention to the moon as well too, right? So the moon is diminishing in size. And perhaps I haven't been, you know, busy, you know, I've been really busy and maybe I haven't received something that needs to be received as well too. And I often feel with the Four of Cups that I have unknowingly not been open to that. So this is not about interpreting cards tonight, but this is about helping you to find the focus of a reading, okay? All right, I want to go to Scott's question before I show you something else that I think might really help with this. So I'm just going to scroll back. Okay. And hopefully I can find it. I think he was asking about how to find out what the I think he was asking about the, oh gosh, there we go, I found it. Okay, how to know what your court card is. How do we know what court card is supposed to be our significator by birth? Okay, so there's lots of charts out there, Scott. You can just simply Google this, do a Google search and you'll find out the information. But like I said, there's going to be different methods. There's going to be different ways to do this, and not everybody is in agreement with this. And so you pick a system that works for you. Okay. All right. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Jen, for that. Okay. Let us. Okay. Oh, gosh. Yes, that was a perfect pairing. Okay. Let's go on because there's just so much here and I don't want to, I want to be mindful of my time. All right, so I want to go back. So remember I was talking about this Mother of Wands, how I really identify with her. So one of the other things I like to do is to set a whole scene to really start to bring focus to my reading. And maybe this is going to be my birthday reading. This is about, you know, what do I have to look, or I don't even want to do a year ahead spread. I just want to know about the next few weeks, the months, or maybe something that is, what should I be celebrating for my birthday or something like that? Okay. And here is the sun, which is the planet, right? So this is the planet, my planet. And I also kind of feel the strength energy in this card as well, too. This is the alternate major arcana card for Leo. And then another deck that I really like to pull out when I'm setting this background for my reading is Patrick Fogarty's deck. And in creating this kind of backdrop for my reading, I'm just going to lay these cards down on the table. So here's the sun from Patrick's deck. This is called the Living Wheel Astrology cards. And I was born during a waxing gibbous moon. And there's something about this time of the month that really, really makes me feel strong and connected and powerful. So I'm going to place that card down. And then I'm going to remind myself, you know, about the seasons or the weather, that it is the summer, right? And maybe where I'm living, it is hot. And this is a reminder, there's a lot of fire here on the table, right? And so before I even do the reading, this is a hot reading. It's totally, totally unbalanced. And I'm just going to pick up a deck here. I'm going to pick up Pagan Otherworlds, which is a deck that I love. And so part of my process is to observe this imbalance. It's not good. It's not healthy. It's too much fire. I thrive in this. I love the summer. I love the sun. I've got it's great. It makes me feel like this, right? It makes me feel like this, but it's not balanced. And so in laying these cards down intentionally, I'm just being reminded, okay, I need to ask about how can I bring balance in over the next few weeks, over this month. And so I pick up my deck and I just kind of stare at these cards on the table, and it just helps me. And right now, as I'm looking at these cards and contemplating these questions, I'm an empath. I just feel so much in my body, and I feel all this congestion in my chest, my heart. And I'm also going to expand the question to reflect that. So what is this? What is this bursting of energy in my heart space, that I need to be aware of? And a card just popped out. So judgment just popped out. And so this is my process. It's my process. And this has proven to be quite a powerful way to do the cards. Okay. Oh my God. The devil is here. And the Queen of Cups. Okay, so I'm so glad the Queen of Cups has showed up, because she's going to help to bring balance to all that fire. And the devil, there's a couple of things that I'm just going to say about the devil right now. And one is that there's a lot of judgment on my part in letting go and living and just doing whatever it is you want to do. I'm a woman in my late 50s, and I am single now. And, by God, I'm going to do whatever it is that I want to do. I'm going to live life, and I'm going to have fun. And I love that the devil card showed up here, right? I don't have to censor my life anymore. I can do what I want to do as long as it is in balance, and I can live in joy. And the fact that we have two major arcana here, our major arcanas, is really beautiful to come up for a reading at a birthday, right? I want, maybe my transformation, maybe my next step through is about living and letting go, but also this beautiful balanced energy of the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Cups shows me these two sides of myself that I need to embrace fully. Not just my fiery side, but my intuitive side, which I do, right? Okay, so this is another method. Another method. Okay. Just let me go to the chat. And hello to everybody that's popping in. Okay, so here's the next thing that I wanted to share with you. Get all these things off the table. So I have this bag of coins, and these coins how do I pick them that are inclusive? So if this is, Jess, this is difficult if I can't see and know who I'm doing the reading for. So one of the things I do when I'm doing a reading is to ask somebody a little bit about themselves. I try to know who my clients are. I don't choose significators when I'm doing blind readings on Tuesdays, for example, on my YouTube channel. So part of my process as a reader is to find out who my client is. And I take my time to do that. Because if it is necessary, so I always have So for example, the numinous is here. Either numinous or new world or urban tarot is all, one of those three is always here. I know I have several different decks that have different cultural representation. I have very few Body Beautiful decks. Most of the decks that I use have a wide range of images. If I'm working with a client who's in their 70s or 80s, I know which decks have older people. It's not just all young people. So because I'm aware of the cards that I have, I'm going to choose a deck that is going to suit the situation. And I think that's really important, because you want the reader to feel connected. And if the reader is, you want the querent to feel connected. And if the querent is present with me, then I have an opportunity for them. I can suggest a few cards based on their birth date and their personality or the question that they're coming up with, and then let them choose a significator card. So sometimes I do that as well too. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. So that's a really important question. We want to use a variety. We want to have a variety of decks so we can choose an inclusive card. Okay, I see Anna's here. Alrighty. So this little bag of coins are the 22 major arcana. And I find that querents love to participate in this. And I think this is part of what Jess was asking Stellar Rain Dancer, is that the querent likes to be involved in the process. They love to touch the cards. They love to touch things. And so this is one of the methods I would use for that, and to let them just kind of shake up the coins. And, or I have a box that these go in, and sometimes they'll just choose one of the box, or sometimes I will throw them onto the table and maybe one will land near them. Or so I've got lots of different ways I use this. One of the tables that I work with actually has edges on it, so they don't go all like a poker table, so they don't go all over the floor. But these coins are really easy to identify. There's just one symbol on them. That's the wheel card. And yeah, so there's the star card. And it's nice because these are little, and it's something that, what I want to say, like, I don't mind if querents touch my cards. I have no problem with that, but I like this better. I like to let them touch something that is, I don't know, because shuffling can sometimes be really awkward for them. So keep the questions coming. I'm really happy to answer your questions. All right. Anna, thank you. Okay. Next. Where am I at here? Okay. So when I do tarot card of the year, so tarot card of the year that I work with in January, this is another important aspect of readings that I do with clients on it's an easy calculation. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's easy for me to calculate what a client's card for 2021 is, or whatever the year is. Sometimes I do a card associate, like their birth card or something. But this one helps me a lot because then I know the energy that they're working with this year. And I find most people are really, really interested in it. And sometimes what I do is, so for example, my card for this year is the Tower. And I'm actually going to be making a video very soon, like in the next week or so, about my experience with the Tower card so far. So what I might do is to do that quick calculation of what their card for 2021 is, and then pull out a couple Tower cards. And because that takes time, right? So while I'm doing that, I'm chatting with them about something else or teaching them something. I'll lay down a few Tower cards, and I talk about the energy of the Tower being the fact that it's their card for 2021 and what that means. And so I allow the Tower, the energy of the Tower, to be brought in to their reading. So if you'd like to do this now, I know you don't all, there's a couple of methods for calculating this. So you can add your month and your day to the number 2021, and you can add these all as unreduced numbers. So if you are born on November 21st, you would add 11 plus 21 plus 2021 to get your number. And then you would reduce it to a number less than 23. So 22 is the Fool, okay? Another way, which I usually do it, is by reduction of numbers. So I reduce each of the numbers. I reduce 11 to 2, I reduce 21 to 3, and I reduce 2021 to 5. So again, every system has different ways of doing it. So you could place your card on the table. And I know for some people it's hard, right? It's hard to figure out how, in going through the year, how is this card relevant? Sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes it's not. So perhaps you lay down your card on the table. Why don't we do this? Because this is, actually, I'm going to use this one with the botanic in a minute. So let me just grab another deck. These 3 Tower cards, by the way, are from Lightseers, Hoodoo. This one is amazing. I'm really going to talk about, and this one is from Rachel True's deck, True Heart Tarot. So I placed down my cards for 2021 on the table, and I kind of acknowledge, like I'm always building the scene in my mind. Here we are, it's the end of May. We're at the end of spring. I know what's going on in my personal life. I'm aware that the weather's heating up. I bring into mind all kinds of things that's going on with my family. And so I might sit down for a few minutes and just kind of write out what's happening right now, because I want to be aware of my current circumstances. And so then I start to shuffle my tarot deck and I ask, what does the Tower have to teach me? Or what is it that I'm not picking up from the Tower energy? It's like, if you're sensing you haven't really received the lesson of your card for 2021, you could ask that kind of question. And here we are almost at the 6-month point. This is a really good time to do a reading with your card for 2021 as the significator. Okay, so I'm focusing on my card, and I'm feeling like there's something I haven't quite figured out about this significator, okay? So I'm shuffling, and here we go. All right, so the shadow card wants to be seen. So when I picked up the deck, the shadow card definitely wants to come into this story. Okay. 8 of Pentacles. So, the Tower card is, for me, it is this massive card of transformation. It's about blasting through old thoughts, paradigms, just ways of being. And I can't help but see that lightning strike as a spiritual awakening. In many decks, it really, really speaks to that opening of the crown chakra, the Kundalini energy either rising or ascending. And this Eight of Pentacles actually sits quite sweet with me. You know, I want to take my time. I want to take my time in growing my business. I want to take my time in honing the kinds of courses that I'm teaching. The kind of stuff that I'm doing in my classes, I feel is unique to me, and I've been really trying to embrace who I am. And so this is a card of, you know, this is a card of being patient with the transformation. That's what I'm feeling here. Ace of Cups and the Fool. So maybe my business is just going to go to a whole new level. But I need to take my time with this. The shadow card that wanted to be seen was the Ten of Pentacles, which is interesting. So, you know, it's not about the money. Or maybe it's about my relationship with money. Maybe I'm not charging enough for my courses or my readings, right? So it's a process, and I want to encourage you to really take your time and find your way with this kind of thing. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to the chat because I have missed so many of your amazing comments and questions. Okay. So I'd like to pause now and just use this last little bit to really take your questions. And I'm going to focus on the chat now. And I think that's kind of where I want to go with this. If what I am saying to you is resonating with you, then just know that next week I'm starting a new group. And in this group, we look at all of the cycles of life, right? So wherever you are in your age, right, your cycle of life. We look at lunar cycles. We look at astrological cycles. We look at all different ways of studying significators. We look at some of the predictive tarot spreads. And I teach about timing in tarot and how I do prediction in tarot. So all of this is starting next week. And so if you kind of are vibing with some of the things that I'm saying, you might want to hop into this class. This class starts on Wednesday, and all of my classes, for the most part, I record them, and then if you can't make the live classes, then you can watch the playback. But one of the things I always like to say is, if you can't make all of the classes, I really want to connect with you in some way, because I feel there's something about, even, you know, in a Zoom class, it's important. The connection is so important. And also what I have found more and more is the connection between the students is important. Like, students have made such good friends and online connections through these classes. So if you can't be there, you really do miss out on a lot. So yeah, so that starts on Wednesday. Okay, let's go to Nancy Paper Moon Tarot's question, because this is a really, this is a good question. So, does the significator represent just one aspect of you? Oh my God, Nancy, this is such a good question. Such a good question. Okay. I'm going to share this exercise with you. This is an exercise I have given in the court card class that I'm teaching right now. So here's the exercise. Get yourself a 4x4 grid. And this grid is to represent the 16 aspects of the tarot court. So the 4 kings, the 4 queens, the 4 knights, and the 4 pages. And generally speaking, in traditional tarot, the pages are not used as significators, only the knights, queens, and kings. But I totally believe that pages, the pages come into our part of our life as well too. So this exercise is to create this 4x4 grid, and either to print 16 photographs of yourself, or to, if you have some kind of graphic software, like you could do it on Canva. I've done one on Canva for the group. And to drag in 16 pictures of yourself. So find a picture from at some point in your life where you identified as a page of cups, where you identified as a page of wands, a king of wands, a knight of wands, and so forth. Okay, and so this is such a good exercise. And I know not everybody has that many pictures of themselves, but I'll give you a couple of examples, and maybe on my Instagram after the class is done, I can share my grid with you. I have a picture of me in India, and my back is to the camera, and I'm walking down a street, and I'm wearing a dhoti, and it's in the ashram grounds. And this particular card, walking in India, feels very much like a knight. Right. And so I was contemplating this card, is this a Knight of Pentacles because I'm not on a horse and I'm walking slowly in contemplation? Is this a Knight of Cups because I'm on a soul journey? Right. And so I think I actually put it into the Knight of Cups position. And then there was a photo of me sitting by a fire, and I was getting a fire ready for a fire ceremony, and for a group that I was going to lead through a transformation. And so I put that in the King of Wands category. And then there was a photograph of me at where I was jurying some kids. I used to have an organization where I helped kids take their crafts to markets. And so I have a photo of me with all these papers and my computers and teaching kids about business. And so I put that in the King of Pentacles. So this is a really good exercise, because over the course of our life, we have had each of these 16 faces come up. And sometimes it takes a little bit of digging, but it's a really, really good exercise. Okay, I'm going to go back to the chat here. So thank you for that, Nancy. Thank you for the endorsement, Gerald. And I think this exercise it's just a beautiful way to help us connect more deeply to aspects of ourself, right? Okay, I'm just going to go over to YouTube. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just need to, my bad. Pause. There we go. I just want to make sure that I leave time to introduce the next segment. So I'm just about out of time here. So I want to, oh, hi, Anna. I hope that some of these techniques you can put into practice, because I have found them invaluable in deepening my readings. And let me know how this goes for you as well too, okay? I want to again acknowledge Jen and Simon and thank them both for their hard work and all that goes on behind the scenes. I am so grateful. I've organized lots of conferences and different things before, and I know just how much is not acknowledged. So thank you. Thank you very much to you. Coming up in the next hour is Elle and Shayne. And Elle and Shayne's topic So their channel name is Wolf Meets Witch, and crafting correspondences. So this is going to be really interesting. I love the dynamic between these two and how they play off one another, and they've got such different personalities. So crafting correspondences, make sure the link is in the description box below so you can hop over to Wolf Meets Witch in a few minutes. And thank you to everyone who has been here with me, and it's wonderful to see so many new faces. If you've enjoyed your time here, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell, and then you'll know when I'm going up live again. That's funny, Jen. You just shouted, ready to go, son. So Shayne is Jen's son, for those of you that aren't aware. Hi, Kathleen. You can always watch the playback. Okay. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you all for being here tonight, and enjoy the rest of Tarothon. I am going to be in the chat, I think, for the duration, and I'll be up late with Jen and everybody else. Yeah. So take good care of yourselves. Be kind to one another and be kind to yourself. Namaste.